2 white rhinos have become the target of poachers. For their safety, they're being moved to Ol Pejeta Conservancy.
That's a good dad.
It's a life and death situation for the rhinos.
An amazing power, and she's not lying very well, but we just got to keep going through.
Moving rhino is risky and unpredictable for both animals and the team. When you're dealing with these aggressive giants, one small miscalculation and your only option will be to run or to hold on tight. It's just another busy week in the life of a Kenyan game reserve. For millions of years, rhinoceros have roamed freely across the African plains. What nature built over a millennia, human beings have almost destroyed in less than 20 years. The rhino is one of the most endangered species in the world, hunted to the brink of extinction for its horn. In Africa, 98% of all rhinos were wiped out. The ones remaining were moved to heavily guarded sanctuaries like Ol Pejeta Conservancy. Ol Pejeta is one of the largest rhino sanctuaries in East Africa. Today, the staff are getting ready to welcome 2 new additions. Wildlife and Security Supervisor Battian Craig is on his way to Endangerd Ranch 40 kilometers away. There, he will meet up with his counterpart Peter Glover, who has been responsible for the 2 rhinos which will be moved.
There were 2 young rhino given to the owner of this ranch, Harville Lastrup, from Lewa. They were about 3 years old at the time. We basically decided to move them because it's just a pair, they're not breeding, and the security has become a real problem.
The decision was made to move the pair to Ol Pejeta after rangers discovered a poacher's hideout that overlooked the animal's territory. There are 2 species of rhino in Africa, black and white. White actually does not refer to color, but rather a mistranslation from Dutch, meaning wide mouth. Although not indigenous to Kenya, the white rhino were brought here to these wildlife sanctuaries to help rebound the global populations. It will be 2 white rhinos that are moved today.
Okay, white rhino aren't indigenous to Kenya, but they're a hell of a tourist attraction.
Unlike the native black rhino, white rhinos graze out in the open, making it easier for tourists to see them, and therefore a better attraction.
Inusoit's in a position where they've got 2 animals. 2 animals together are never going to breed. They're going to have a brother-sister relationship. If they join their 2 animals with our population, that female will start breeding. The way we've done it is under a custodianship agreement. We don't pay for those animals, but first calf belongs to us, second calf belongs to Inusoit.
Rhino capture is risky for both the rhino and the team. Kenyan Wildlife Service veterinarian Stephen Chege goes over the plan in detail with the capture team. The experienced team is made up of men from several area ranches, including Endangerd, Ol Pejeta, and Lewa Conservancy. The capture method will involve tranquilizing the rhino with a dart gun and then loading it onto a truck for transport to Ol Pejeta. As they prepare, nothing is left to chance. Every piece of equipment is double-checked and every precaution taken.
This one, the small bag, has my antidote, it has my emergency drugs, anything that I need very fast in the bush. I like keeping it here. Yeah.
Huh?
Who leads the other?
She's relaxed. She'll come to the car. He's more nervous and runs more. You see, he's a little bit more wary.
To Stephen's delight, the animals are calm. He figures the best option will be to dart them directly from the car. They'll dart and move the rhinos one at a time, starting with the male.
Yeah, but I'm reading you right.
You with the animal?
Yeah, we are just there. We have just arrived.
Okay, so we're literally just on the way. As soon as we get there, Steve's sitting with the animals. So when we think we're in the right position, we'll tell him go for it and dart.
I need to be very exact when I'm doing this, because the dosages, you have to be very sure. That should be super. Fine for me. Let me just stop there.
The dart hits, but in a bad place.
Bite into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's it.
They're just standing or running?
Shells moving around here. Can see that doesn't discharge.
Let me just confirm that and I'll come back to you. I think that has not discharged. You can see the plunger is in between here. But once you dart, it's supposed to be pushed everything inside. So I need to confirm that, whether the drug has been discharged.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the dart is still intact, but not discharged.
Gonna give it a second one or just give it some time?
Let's give it some time. And then after 10-15 minutes, I'll give it a go.
So that first dart's in, but it hasn't discharged. It's always best just to give it a bit of time.
So keep another dart here on standby. Now 14 minutes. I'm getting in, ready for darting.
Okay.
Yeah. The distance. That's a good dart. Batting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Darted. That's a good dart. That's a very good dart.
Second dart's a good dart, so it's just a matter of waiting.
At the first sign the drug has taken effect, Batian moves in to push off the female to make it safe for the team.
Yatafuata hiyo tau size ikalete ipo gani?
A ranger checks the rhino's vision to ensure it is sedated. Unlike black rhinos, whites remain on their feet and have to be physically pulled into a lying position so a truck and transport box can be lined up with the animal. Once blindfolded, the rhino calms down. Water is poured on to keep the animal from overheating.
That's worked absolutely fine so far. We just need to keep the one car with the female. You know, she obviously wants to get back here the whole time. So we'll just leave this with Steve and let him deal with the animal. We'll deal with the box and everything getting into position.
Going is fine so far. The animal is very stable. So the plan is we bring in the container, and then once everything is ready, we'll align the animal and revive it and push it to the container.
Once in the box, the rhino will need to be pulled onto the truck by the tractor, so any trees or obstacles need to be cleared.
Nilikuwa nauza madhenge hapa. Kulikuwa kuna shindano ya kuweka hiyo dawa.
The box needs to be perfectly aligned with the rails. Antibiotics are given as a precaution.
Give prophylactic antibiotics because of the risk, the stress associated with the capture in translocation.
Yeah, we're going to put it on its brisket now. And so the head is sitting just inside the box. So as it wakes up, you know, white rhino like to go backwards, black rhino like to go forwards.
It's a bittersweet moment. It's a shame to lose them, but for them it's got to be better in the long run.
With everyone ready, Stephen administers the antidote. Normally, it's the black rhino that's known for its aggression, but during capture, it's the white rhino that is more fierce.
That went well. They're just such different animals compared to blacks. They really are.
The tractor will be used to clear a path, and then to pull the box onto the truck. From here, the truck will wait at the main gate for the other rhino, and the pair will make their way to Ol Pejeta, where they'll be released together. 2 white rhinos are being moved to Ol Pejeta after a poacher's hideout was found overlooking the animal's territory. In the morning, they successfully darted and captured the male rhino, and are now about to dart the female.
That's a good place because there's a good massa there, so it will take effect. Did the drug go in? Go in?
Yeah, has it got any?
Let me just confirm that. That's what we are trying to do. Definitely, that's a sign of anesthesia. You can see she's moving like stepping gait. Yeah, she's drugged. Let's give her some more time.
It doesn't take long. Stephen can see that the drug is affecting the young rhino, but is unsure if it is sedated enough. A ranger volunteers to check.
That guy is still very strong. Stop that. That is risky. Just stop it, eh? No, that's not very good. You know, sometimes you can come charging and you lose or something. There could be a ditch there.
While they wait for the drug to do its work, Batian uses the opportunity to lead her to the flatter ground, where it will be easier to get her on the truck. A few minutes later, the rhino's steps are heavy and slow. The drug has taken effect. The blindfold is on. Now it's safer for the team to work, but they have to remain alert.
Take advantage of that tuangushe sasa. Haya, ataona. Kuna kamba ingine? Ataona hii bado. Kamba ingine?
What we're going to try and do, she's still strong enough that she'll be able to stand when we loosen that back rope. So if we get the box in the right place, we'll just send her straight in.
With the rope loosened, the team now waits.
Shot straight in, that was perfect.
Well done, guys. That was good.
She's fully conscious, angry and panicked, unaware that the move is meant to save her life. Inside the box, she loses balance and falls.
It's an amazing power, and she's not lying very well, but we just got to keep going through and get everything done as quickly as possible. Get her on the truck, get her standing, and then it'll be fine.
They first move the box into position. Batian will now have to get the Rhino standing before it can be loaded on the truck. He'll take the pull rope off, hoping the Rhino will react and stand up. But the way she has fallen with her back quarter jammed in the box, she is unable to stand. She is severely stressed and in trouble. Batian aborts the relocation. It now becomes a race to get her out of the box. She's out of danger, but extremely angry.
No, we had to let her out. She managed to go upside down on the box or on her side, and we wouldn't have been able to make her stand like that. It was a lot better just to let her out. You know, we can always come back and do her. There's no need to push her.
Batian does not like to put an animal through stress like this, but knows he has no choice. The animal has to be moved. And so the team heads back to Ol Pejeta, regrettably with only one white rhino. He is taken to an area of the Conservancy where there are several females in the area. The plan has been to release the pair together to minimize the stress of the relocation. But in the end, it will help break the brother-sister bond between the pair, which is better for the species. He gets his first look at his new home. It's not the ending that Peter had envisioned, but at last one of his rhinos is now safe.
Well, it's nice to see him go. He's joining about 8 other ones in this area, so hopefully he'll start breeding soon.
However, the female remains in danger, and if the poachers are aware the rhinos are being moved, time will be of the essence. For Peter, there will still be a couple of more sleepless nights. Two white rhinos are being moved to Ol Pejeta. The male was moved first without problems, but the female got turned upside down in the box and had to be released. Today, the team will try again.
So we're back again at Innersoit, round 2 for the female. You know, with her the way she was in the box the other day, slipping and going onto her side, 1, it's stressful on her. 2, it's just not right to move an animal that distance on bad roads, lying on its side. At the end of the day, it's a lot easier to let them go, come back and do it again.
Since her release, she's moved to higher ground. Ironically, she's dangerously close to where the poacher's hideout was. It's riskier all around. Stephen is forced to dart her on foot. With a perfect dart, the rhino begins to run. As the team expected, she begins to run, heading for the hills where she feels safe.
Yeah, Steve, it's how we're just trying to turn it.
Batian moves to intercept her.
Yeah, well, we're just trying to turn it around now.
If she reaches the hills, all will be lost for today. The Rhino has turned and gone straight up. Once again, the team faces a tough decision. With the anesthetic in her, she runs the risk of overheating, and the climb will make that risk much greater. Once again, the relocation is aborted.
It's my first time darting with an antidote.
I don't know what our luck is with this animal.
Rather than leading the Rhino down the treacherous descent, Stephen darts her with the antidote. The antidote is in, and the Rhino reacts and begins to head down. The team can only watch as she descends, knowing they will be back for a third try. One week later, the team is back at Endangerd. The Rhino is once again darted and goes down easily, but in a very difficult place. The team will have to clear a long way to get to the Rhino. The Rhino is back inside a gully. The ground has to be smoothed out for the transport box to be pushed in. She is revived and led into a transport box. After 2 previous failed attempts, success. She is loaded onto the lorry. Elated, the team starts to drive back to Ol Pejeta, where she'll join the other Rhino. She is slightly banged up from her ordeal, but otherwise, okay.
Success in the end. My God, it's been hard work. She's here, she's out, she's absolutely fine. That's the main thing.
3 days later, the pair is reunited, drawn to each other by their scent. They spend one afternoon together before heading off on their own. The call of the wild obviously stronger than their bond together. Both Rhino have since been in the company of potential mates. Elephant populations are exploding in Kenya. So too are the conflicts with humans. Staff at Ol Pejeta are forced to take drastic action against a gang of crop raiders.
We've managed to find 3 of the bad animals this morning. So we'll collar 1 and de-tusk, and then just de-tusk the other 2.
Easier said than done when your subject weighs over 5 tons.
You know, we're looking at this as an opportunity that we don't have to destroy those animals, but it is the last chance.
It's just another busy week in the life of a Kenyan game reserve. are the graceful giants of the savanna, an iconic symbol of Africa. And now, like the great continent itself, echoes the contrasts of a troubled land. 20 years ago, the elephant faced extinction, hunted in mass by humans for its ivory tusks. In Kenya, elephant numbers dropped from 170,000 to just 16,000 animals. Intense anti-poaching efforts and an international ban on ivory sales stabilized what remained of the population, and numbers have begun to recover. There are approximately 32,000 elephants in Kenya. It's still only a fraction of the original numbers, and the harsh reality is it's no longer possible for elephants to fully recover. In their absence, Kenya's human population exploded from 9 to over 30 million people. Much of the elephant's original habitat is forever gone. And now, the single biggest issue facing African conservation is the competition between humans and wildlife for resources.
You know, elephant populations on the whole are doing well. There's no doubt about that. You're seeing them moving into areas, certainly in the community conservation areas, that elephant haven't been for 10, 15 years. That's a sign of things happening. But major concentrations are in these conservation-friendly areas, which is a threat to the area, more vegetation than anything else.
Elephants eat a lot of vegetation, and in the process destroy many of the trees they feed on. In the past, when elephants were free to migrate naturally, this was not a problem. Areas were able to recover. But the extreme damage done to the species by poachers in the 80s changed the dynamics of elephant movement. What animals survived took up residence in protected reserves, while outside human populations expanded, cutting off traditional migration routes. Now, thanks to the work of conservationists, elephant numbers are growing. That's led to another problem. In many conservation reserves, there are now too many elephants for the land to support, and the elephants' feeding habits are causing destruction to the ecology of the land.
It's essentially an island effect. You know, one flourishes, something else is going to drop out the bottom. And we've seen that here, we've seen that with lion. We had a little sanctuary of 24,000 acres when Sweetwaters first started. The zebra in there started at 1,400 when they created the sanctuary. When we got here, we were down to just under 300.
Within Ol Pejeta, much of the old trees have been destroyed by the elephants, and in times of drought, they are left with dwindling food supplies. And for the staff, that comes with a whole host of problems, chief among them, Kimani. Kimani is a large old bull elephant whose quest for the best food has brought him right into the staff area, putting them in constant danger. Despite being surrounded by an electrified fence, Kimani breaks into the staff compound in search of foraging.
Yeah, we're heading to take off, push off the elephant that always comes into this compound. Yeah, the fence has good current actually. It's very powerful, but the elephant has some now new tactics of cutting off the fence now. And you know, we love this elephant, and he's a good attraction of tourism in this place, and so there's nothing much you can do to him. It's just to push him off.
Dixon finds Kimani on his way out of the compound.
You can see him now. And they have just cut off the fence, you see. He's very clever. But he always knows that we have to push him out, come back again, push him out, come back again. So it's just like a game.
It's a dangerous game. In the 6 months, Kimani has left a trail of destruction. Many of the trees in the staff compound have been broken in two. Efforts to prevent him from breaking in are proving futile. Elephants are smart and terrific problem solvers. And so the game continues. Later in the afternoon, the team returns to find Kimani on his way back in. He has yet to break the fence again. Normally, chasing an elephant like this would provoke him to charge and mean certain death. But Kimani has a major handicap. He is blind. As a result, he's become tolerant of Dixon. But the other staff are scared of him, and for good reason. Although he's bonded with Dixon, he is big, and if angered, could really hurt someone. There is no option but to do what they need to do to discourage Kimani.
He knows my voice too. Because if somebody else goes there, try to chase him off, he pretends that he's charging. But with me, once he has me, he starts walking and going. So he knows.
Dixon knows after the sun goes down, he'll be back. And tomorrow morning, they'll play this game again.
There's an elephant, Kimani, who's a collared individual. You know, sadly, that animal's blind. And he's sort of royal game. We don't touch him at all. He's so handicapped as it is. We sort of turn a bit of a blind eye. You know, he's not aggressive to anybody. Yeah, he's doing a bit of damage to vegetation. There's a fine balance between human safety and looking after the wildlife. If something's going to get totally out of hand and it's threatening human lives, you just got to be sensitive about it.
Elephant populations in Kenya are on the rebound after years of severe poaching almost wiped them out. These elephants live in protected areas, but their renewed healthy numbers have created a major problem. Their feeding habits are damaging the ecosystem. Ol Pejeta is no exception. One of their biggest problems is a blind elephant named Kimani. Not even an electric fence can stop him. He's been breaking through it and entering the staff compound every morning in search of better foraging. Although he's well-liked, Kimani's presence poses a serious danger to the staff. Head Ranger Dixon Kariuki has been starting his day by moving Kimani out and trying to discourage him from coming back in. Kimani was not born blind. That happened 6 months ago. He was a habitual raider, terrorizing the local villagers and farmers on his nightly crop raiding adventures. It's believed he was shot by a local villager, which caused his blindness. And that's why he stays close to the familiar staff area, where he has formed an odd bond with Dixon. Before his accident, Kimani taught some of the other elephants how to defeat the fences, including the main perimeter fence.
Fencing's been a major challenge on Ol Pej. When we first started 5 years ago, the biggest thing at that stage was human-wildlife conflict, and that's elephant, baboons, buffalo, hippo, all sorts of wildlife going into communities. And you got people living on our boundary whose livelihood is a 1 acre field. One elephant into those fields, and those guys they've lost their livelihood for six months. There was no way we could sit here justifying that.
In order to avoid conflicts with villages and to protect the growing number of critically endangered rhino on the reserve, Ol Pejeta completely fenced in the perimeter of the reserve. They left a few strategic corridors for animals to move in and out of areas friendly to wildlife.
It was a long process to figure out configurations. We put up certain configurations, fences that were costing $16 a meter. And you look, we've got about 140 kilometers of fencing. It's a lot of money that we spent on that. That, for about a 4-year period, completely stopped any conflict. We've had some elephant move in who have been sort of trained on good fences, and that's just poor management. Sadly, that's happened in other places. Now we've had some of those animals come onto Ol Pejeta.
It's 2 a.m., and the rangers are en route to investigate a short in the fence along the northern border. There's no question who the culprits are.
They have come out already. See the breakage?
For the past week, a group of 5 have been breaking out and going into the village fields.
You see the footprints are fresh, like this one. Yesterday they were here, every day. See how
What the rangers are finding is once they have a taste for crops, there's no way of stopping them.
They live, I think, because of the hunger, because they have already eaten the crops outside the community, and the crops are very sweet.
The crews come in to repair the fence. They know that in the morning they will likely have to do it again when the animals break back in. The following morning, Batian takes to the sky to survey the damage. From the air, the elephant's path is clear, heading straight for tomato fields. It's one thing to tolerate Kimani's misgivings, but direct conflict with villages is another. They will have to take action to stop the elephants before the situation gets worse.
You know, once an elephant knows how to break the fence and has figured that out, if they're bulls, they certainly train. There's proven evidence that they train other bulls on how to do it. And you'll see if you look at it over a period of 3-4 months, that group will grow. There's no doubt about it, from 1 or 2 individuals doing it to begin with. And we've seen it with this group. It started off as a couple, it's now 5. And so if you don't step in and sort that situation straight away, that problem will escalate.
The decision has been handed down from the government. 3 of the 5 problem elephants are to be de-tusked to prevent them from breaking the fences and putting the villagers and their livelihood in danger. Although Kimani is not a threat to the villages, he will be included in the operation. His tusks will be spared, but the rangers are going to remove a radio tracker collar that he's been wearing since before becoming blind. The collar will be put on the new ringleader so that his actions can be closely monitored. The elephants can consider themselves lucky. A year ago, they would have been shot. But last year, Ol Pejeta experimented with de-tusking another group of fence breakers and had great success.
You know, we're looking at this as an opportunity that we don't have to destroy those animals, but it is the last chance for them. All elephants are either left hand or right hand, and they have this little hook on their ivory, and they use that for everything. What these animals are doing, they're walking up to the fence. They've figured out that their ivory is insulated, so if they hook that ivory onto the wire, if they lift their head and walk back with it, just the shape of an ivory and that hook is going to hold that wire in place, and they just keep walking back until it breaks. Once it's broken, they've shorted the fence and they're through.
Here's how the operation will happen. First, Kimani will be darted and his collar removed. Batian will then use the opportunity for a vet to check Kimani's eyes to see if there is anything that can be done to reverse the blindness. For Phase 2, the team will use a helicopter to dart the ringleader, whose tusks will be removed, and the collar from Kimani attached. This way, Ol Pejeta will be able to track his movements from now on. From there, the 2 others will be darted and de-tusked. The darting of Kimani will be done by Stephen Chege, the regional vet with the Kenyan Wildlife Service. Ian Craig, Batian's father, will provide backup. The teams get into position and head out to find Kimani. Because of Dixon's daily game, they suspect Kimani won't bolt when he hears a car approaching, so they won't need to go to the expense of a helicopter. All goes according to plan. The dart is in. But after 7 minutes, Kimani is still walking. It's possible the dart malfunctioned or struck a bone. After a few minutes more, it's clear there is some kind of malfunction, and Stephen decides to dart him again.
Yeah, I've just redarted that animal. So we give it another like 7 minutes. The data is perfect.
The dart clearly struck muscle. It is now only a matter of time. With Kimani down, the team heads in.
Bigger than this. Sorry.
One of these is really thin.
Ian goes about removing the collar, while Stephen removes the dart. After several years on, some of the bolts are rusted and have to be cut off. Stephen and Ian check Kimani's eyes.
It's bilateral. It's both sides.
But you think it was shot with a shotgun?
Yeah, it was actually this. That's a corny house. Yeah, but it's his. Unfortunately now, it was saved today.
Right.
That's done.
Which in and a second.
Kimani has a bilateral corneal ulcer. It's unclear how it could have happened, but Stephen doesn't rule out that he was shot. His eyes are beyond repair, and so Kimani will live out his days blind on Ol Pejeta. With limited daytime left, Stephen heads up in the chopper to locate and dart the ringleader. In order to dart him, Stephen needs to be close. Helicopter is the only way to ensure a quick and easy outcome. Stephen sets his sights on the ringleader. Pilot Mike Watson has to keep Stephen within 50 meters of the elephant in order to be in range. It's a perfect hit.
Yeah, they've darted the animal. Now they're just trying to keep it in an area that's good for it to go down, that's easy for us to get into.
The team needs to get back to find the other elephant, so they have to work quickly. The ringleader's tusks are cut off, so he will no longer be able to use them to break fences and raid village crops. Ian checks the stump to ensure they have not cut the elephant's nerve. All is okay, and Muthega uses his chainsaw to cut the other tusk. Ian takes into account the animal's age. The collar has to fit, but also allow the elephant to grow. If the collar is too tight, it will strangle the elephant as it ages. Batian paints a number on the elephant that will be used to identify it by aircraft. The paint will wear off in a couple of months. It's all done in a matter of minutes, and Stephen gives the antidote to reverse the sedative. The group will pull back and give the elephant room to wake up.
That's gone seriously well, and they're just taking off to go and do the other two animals now. We've got them visual, so they'll dart both together.
Both Stephen and Ian get ready to dart the remaining two. They are located in a small group of elephants. Back on its feet, the ringleader adjusts to his new collar.
You can see him playing with it.
With the two elephants darted and down, the ground teams head in. Ian Craig takes the first elephant, while Stephen Chege heads to the other. Like the ringleader, the elephant's tusks are removed. This does not hurt them in any way. It's common in the wild for tusks to break off during fights or when they catch in the dirt while running. Back in the air, pilot Mike Watson and Stephen Chege are en route to the second animal. All things go smoothly and both teams wrap up quickly. The antidotes are given to revive the animals. Today's de-tusking is not so much a success story for Ol Pejeta, but rather a compromise for the communities surrounding the reserve. This is the future in managing wildlife near populated areas.
So you look back at where elephant were before, what they were doing then. You know, we can look at that. Those days are gone. There's not the land available, there's not the space available, and the vegetation available to maintain what the population used to be 70, 80 years ago. Those are the challenges.
The operation was a success. As the weeks roll on, the elephants do not break out again. The staff is confident that the fences are protecting the villagers and their livelihood. With the elephants under control, Batian has a whole new series of complaints to deal with.
Just today I've had 3 letters, obviously all planned, from communities about baboons. 5 years ago you didn't hear about a baboon. Elephants are gone, now you hear about the baboons. I don't know what we're going to do there.
Hey Love Nature fans, be sure to like and subscribe to catch all our wild animal stories. Get closer to nature right here on YouTube.